Well, Dave, we're on the way to our first show.
Not our first show of 2022.
Well, we're not even out of Kentucky yet.
Yeah, we're in Indiana.
Oh, we are? We crossed the river
the
already.
bridge.
That's right. I missed that.
Go back to sleep.
Welcome to Plastic Model Mojo, a podcast dedicated to scale modeling, as well as the news and events around the hobby, where we hope to be informative and entertaining and help you keep your modeling mojo alive. Dave, we're back again for episode 62 of Plastic Model Mojo, and we've been busy, man.
I know, man. I'll tell you what, but a good kind of busy. I can't complain about that at all.
Oh, that's for sure, man. Well, what's been up in your model sphere?
Well, my model sphere has been fully loaded. I am jazzed. We're under 100 days till the Nationals. We got to go to our first contest for the year. It gets the juices flowing. Got to see a bunch of great models, a bunch of great modelers. So I don't know about you, but I'm buzzed. How about you?
I'm the same. You know, we went up to Indianapolis, the Roscoe Turner show with, took my 15-year-old son along with us to hang out and, had a great time. And we've got some, segments we'll splice here and there into this episode and let people hear who we talked to and what all was going on in Indianapolis. But it was, the short of it was a great time.
I appreciate your son coming along. He really did help us out. It was nice to have that third person there to watch the table, watch the equipment, and help you and I. He's a good kid.
Well, I appreciate it. I told him you said that earlier, so he might come again next time.
Well, good. That's good.
Well, Dave, we made it. We made it up to Lebanon, Indiana.
Yeah, we made good time, other than a slight detour because the bridge was missing.
Yeah, I hope they find their bridge. Well, what do you think so far? It's been a year since we've been here.
I tell you what, the thing that, the big question I had is last year when we came, the show was huge because it was the first show coming out of the pandemic.
Right.
And I wondered whether or not they'd be able to sustain that. This show looks to me to be every bit as large as the one last year, particularly from the aspect of the vendors room. I mean, this place is hopping.
Well, the vendor room's full of vendors, that's for sure. And I've managed to buy a book so far.
I haven't bought anything.
Maybe I'm the librarian. But we'll see. It's yet to be determined if, what was it, 600 and something entries last year?
I think that was the number last year. Now, I've been in the model room very briefly, and it looked like a fair number of models on the table. So I'll be interested. And it's only 11:15, so there's still time.
We're going to have to find some people to talk to, Dave.
Yep. Well, the people have been stopping. Listen, people have been stopping by. We're seeing a lot of listeners already. Some have brought us gifts. It's been great so far. But
we're going to have a nice party when we get home.
That's right. But we need to sit down and talk to some people. So let's do that.
All right, let's enjoy the show, man.
You got it. So, Mike, I assume you have a modeling fluid.
Well, I'm certainly not out. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's true. Absolutely. So what is your modeling fluid?
Well, my modeling fluid comes to us from the Inchai guy, Jeff Groves, and it is Old Hammer Straight Bourbon Whiskey. Now, this is 100 proof bourbon whiskey. It's not a Kentucky bourbon whiskey. It's an Indiana bourbon whiskey. And it's from right there in Indianapolis, apparently.
Oh, wow.
I got to say, it's pretty good so far, but we'll break it down at the end. But it's certainly better than that stuff I had from Starlight.
It was very nice of Mr. Groves not only to stop by the table and to spend some time with us, but to bring us some modeling fluid. That was very much appreciated. And I can't wait to hear the review at the end, since he gave me some too.
Well, what do you got, my friend?
Well, I've got the new Three Floyd's new beer called Speed Castle. This is their latest beer, and continuing on their theme that they started with their Barbarian Haze beer. The box for this 6-pack comes in a cardboard box, and the box looks like a Revell model kit. It's got the Revell or what clearly is their take on the Revell logo, and I was absolutely stoked to see it when you first brought it to my attention. Listener Mike Radke brought it a 6-pack to us, and that was very much appreciated. And I'll give you the full rundown, but so far seems like another Three Floyds hit.
Well, another hits the mailbag, and we got a little bit, some good stuff. Won't you enjoy your modeling fluid while we get right into that?
I always enjoy my modeling fluid, unless it's peanut butter whiskey.
Well, that might have come up again. Or
I will never live that down.
well, it was a hot topic at the show too, apparently.
Yes, I was going to mention that.
At least half the people brought it up, if not
At
all of them.
at least half. I think more like pretty much everybody.
Well, Derek has written in before, and he's from Las Vegas, Nevada. I think he's a fairly new relocator to that area. He can't wait to see us at Omaha, and he signed up for the SAC evening. So, all right,
Well, that'll be great.
that's gonna be a big party, man. That's gonna be fun.
Yep.
Dave, your mistake was to drink the peanut butter whiskey as a sipping whiskey.
Oh, really?
My wife and I drank it as a dessert drink and had it with vanilla ice cream. So here you go, man.
You know, that might work. It really might. It definitely is not a sipping whiskey. I could see how you might have a small shot of it with some sort of dessert, particularly if it was something that was chocolate.
Last time somebody mentioned putting it in hot chocolate.
That might work. You might get a Reese hot chocolate. Just don't do what I did, which was have a glass of it over ice, because that was not good.
Well, I tell you what, you put that stuff back, and we keep wanting to do a poolside face-to-face recording session, and maybe we'll break that stuff out again with some good ice cream.
Maybe we'll do that. We'll try something.
Well, he says his stash took another hit. What wasn't stolen? Now, that's a story that I don't recall him mentioning before. So, Derek, if you had a theft of your stash, give us a scoop on that. But anyway, the next hit was his washing machine flooded.
Oh, I can sympathize with this. I had a similar incident.
Well, he says he separated most of the decals from all but his larger kits. So he votes to separate decals from kits.
Yep.
Well, Derek, good luck getting that cleaned up, and sorry for your loss, man. That would suck.
Yep. But of course, if you're like me, I don't know, Mike and armor guys, it's probably not as much. I'll be honest with you. The number of times I use the kit decals are actually fairly rare. I mean, I'm almost always, I use an aftermarket decal sheet. So, you know, these manufacturers like Arma and Edward, who do the what they call over trees, where they give you just the sprues themselves and down either instructions or downloadable instructions, and no decals and no fancy other stuff. I'm telling you what, those work for me because of the fact that I don't often use the kit decals. So, hey, if you got to lose something out of your stash as far as your model kits go, the decal sheets are probably better than losing the plastic.
That's true. And you kind of need a fire to lose the plastic. So let's not hope that on anybody.
Let's not wish that on anybody.
Up next is Dave Paisley. And I'm not sure where he's from. I think he's written in before, but it's not in this email. So I don't remember. We get a lot of mail, and I just can't remember where everybody's from. He's getting caught up since Christmas on back catalogs for his favorite podcasts, us included. in regard to the Dr. Strangebrush episode last time, he says his worst clear coat experience was putting MLT in Vallejo acrylic gloss.
Yeah, that doesn't work.
Turned to white glue immediately. I bet it did, man.
I'll bet it did. Well, and you know what? We get a chuckle out of that. But honest to God, there are now, it used to be that, oh, God, I'm sounding like an old man, but it used to be that there were like 2 or 3 paint lines. So compatibility was not really an issue.
And none of them were acrylics.
Yeah, exactly. None of them were acrylics. They were all enamels anyway. But, so compatibility wasn't an issue. Now there's so many lines, and some companies have multiple lines that are acrylic, that are lacquers, that are, enamel. Hell, Tamiya has an enamel line, an acrylic line, and a lacquer line. AK has an acrylic line and an acrylic lacquer line. It just, keeping track of it is a little bit daunting.
Yeah, you just got to keep your chemistry straight. It's
Yep.
It can be tough if you're not paying attention, I guess.
Agreed.
He also mentions our discussion on forums in the last episode.
Yeah.
Or in a past episode. I can't remember if it was the last one or not. The episode he just finished. He recently signed up for Brit Modeler about a year ago. Well, he signed up for Brit Modeler about a year ago. He's liking that. It's the whole thing. Photo hosting's an annoyance, but he puts his photos on a Blogger account, and he's hoping that doesn't go away.
Yeah. A lot of people got burned by Photo Bucket, man.
That's right. He's embroiled in a Matchbox nostalgia group build right now. And
oh, God.
And the group build has pretty much the entire Matchbox back catalog in the works, and it's expected to end on June 5th. Now, he's sent us a blog link, and I hope his Matchbox stuff's on there, because I've seen some amazing models built from those clunky kits, man.
I know.
Andrew Armstrong's back from Center Point, New York. Now, he was, we asked him to give a show report on Replicon.
Yeah.
He says work kept him from staying too long, but for a small show, he thought the work there was incredible. There was a 48 scale EA6 Prowler folded wings that was pretty dang impressive, he thinks, and impressive amount of vendors. Managed to drop some money on tools, but no kits. Well, you can always be smug when you do that, can't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
That you actually bought something that might further you along instead of putting you further behind.
That's right.
He's got a question for me, because I mentioned the Tester's Clear, the dull coat in particular, with John Miller last episode, and he wants to know what I thin it with. Asked if I use Tester's airbrush thinner. No, I do not. I use regular hardware store lacquer thinner with Tester's dull coat, and I've never had an issue. I tell you what, I do use Tester's airbrush thinner for.
What?
Cleaning brushes that I've used enamel or lacquer based metallics in.
Yeah.
So
it's a pretty aggressive thinner.
So it doesn't come back to haunt me later. Well, Michael Karnak is back from New York City with his... he keeps tossing us a question, to discuss. And it's kind of fun. And
I like that. Guys, if you're out there and you're listening and you think of something you'd like to hear us have as a feature on an episode, send it in. We're always looking for that.
Well, these are kind of short form, though. I like it because we can do it in listener mail.
Sure.
Gents, I was wondering which now defunct model, manufacturer, or hobby product you miss the most.
Ooh. God, that's good.
That is a good question.
Product or manufacturer I miss the most. Okay. I've got one. It's very topical.
Okay.
Future.
Oh, come on, man.
I doubt I'm going to miss it, because I have a nearly full bottle, and the last one lasted me 20 years. So
you'll probably experiment with something else in the meanwhile. Anyway.
Oh, I will too. Yeah, there's no, and I've already used other clear coats from time to time. So, but it just so happens that that's very topical, and I've used it pretty much all the time since I got back into modeling. So I would say that. The other thing I would say for me is the old Humbrol paints. I mean, the original formula, old tin Humbrol paints. I know the current version is available, but they don't seem the same to me. And boy, the old Humbrols airbrushed so nicely. So that would be my other choice. How about you?
I tell you, I think I'm going to miss the most currently Warriors figures.
Oh, good choice.
They were pretty prolific in the day.
Yes.
And there's better figures out now, I'm sure. But I would think that the sculptors that Warriors have, if they're still in the game or they get new sculptors, would have kept up with what's going on. But
sure.
Just a lot of stuff. You could probably say that about all the VLS in-house lines. Now I know Customs Dioramics has come back, so it's available again, and so there's a few of those old kits I hope to see again when Saul Garcia gets those kicked out. So
well, and didn't some of the Warrior stuff actually get picked up by somebody? And there was at least a rumor that they were going to start re-releasing some of that stuff.
Well, Squadron bought all that stuff,
but then when Squadron went under and got parted out, I think somebody bought the Warrior stuff.
Maybe if somebody out there knows, Sprayberry might know what's up.
That's exactly what I was going to say, Mr. Sprayberry. If you're listening, I know you know the answer to this question, so shoot us an email.
Well, Michael, keep the questions coming. That was a good one. I like that.
I do too.
Michael Mikowski from Gilbert, Arizona, in the Phoenix area. Well, Michael is a 69-year-old retired spacecraft engineer and longtime IPMS member. He's member 6,180.
If you don't have your PIN, contact me. You probably are deserving of either a 25 or 50-year PIN. So if you haven't gotten that, be sure to reach out to me.
He's the IPMS Region 10 coordinator, and he's worked on 5 IPMS national conventions, including the last 3 that were held in Phoenix.
And those were really good conventions, one and all, even if they were held apparently in the middle of hell, because I got news for you. It's hot in Phoenix in July and August.
Oh, I'm sure. He's sent us several links for his activities. He builds a lot of Air Force jets from the 60s, experimentals and one-off kind of stuff. Lots of historic spacecraft. He's the editor and publisher of Space and Miniatures reference book series on space modelers. For space modelers.
Cool.
And he's got a YouTube channel, so it's in this link somewhere, and we'll get those posted, Mike. And, maybe we'll talk to you a little bit about your take on the hobby.
I would like to talk to somebody about real space, because I think real space, thanks to Elon Musk and thanks to, the renewed competition in space due to the Chinese, I think that real space is making a big comeback as far as modeling is concerned. So that's a good idea. I'd like to talk to somebody about that.
And finally, from the email side of the listener mail segment here, we've got Stephen Lee, one of our favorite bloggers. And he agrees with me that Vallejo washes are underwhelming, but he wants to try this Citadel stuff we keep yapping about.
Well, all I have tried so far is the Null oil, and I've got to say I really, really like it. So
yeah, it's interesting. One thing about I find about the Vallejo ones, I think the surface tension is too high. Now you could probably fix that, but why should you have to? It's supposed to be a wash right out of the bottle.
Exactly. And it does seem like the Citadel stuff, the surface tension is just perfect.
And apparently you've influenced him into buying a Academy B-52.
All right. Come along. The water's fine, man.
He says 35th scale 3D printed tracks might be a snooze, but where are the 3D printed tracks for 72nd scale armor? Now, that's a good point. And I think there are some. God, I've seen these somewhere, but unfortunately, I think they're from Russia, which might be problematic at the moment.
Yes.
Yeah, I think there's some out there. He means he printed it as a contiguous run, right? So
link and length or segment.
Yeah, no, just a set.
Oh,
finished.
one continuous,
Yes,
completely. Oh,
yep.
Wow.
Just pop it on. Maybe the wheels with it too. I don't know.
That's interesting. 72nd scale armor is one of the areas of modeling that is just experiencing explosive growth right now. A lot of guys getting into it. In fact, we had some discussions with some of them up in Indy. I think that means that all the aftermarket stuff is going to come along as well. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that.
I'll just mention this because he PS'd it on the end of the email. There was a space industry symposium a couple weeks ago, and small worlds collide, as he says it. His boss, Steven's boss, because Steven's in a position in the space industry as well, and his boss was hanging out with our chief science officer.
Oh, you mean where you work?
Yes, where I work. So pretty cool.
I was going to say, I didn't think Plastic Model Mojo had a chief science officer.
Not yet. We don't. Maybe in the future, Dave. One comment is that I'd say that I didn't realize it when I took this job, but it's such a small community. Now it's getting bigger.
Yeah.
We took a 3-day training with a third-party outfit, and the guy that headed this third-party outfit to do this training had been in the space industry since, I think, the late 60s.
Wow.
So in this field of work, you're only 1 degree removed from everybody who's ever been in this. I mean, that's kind of crazy because there's some pretty famous people out there, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Not that I've met any of them yet, but maybe someday.
You will.
Well, that's it on my end. What do you got?
Well, I had a couple of really nice interactions via our Facebook Instant Messenger. One was with John McAvoy. John took some scrap wood and used a spade drill bit to make a stand to hold either glue and brush or microsol, microset and brush. And I think this was sparked probably by some of our conversation about the Tackett's 3D printed stuff, because he makes a microsol, microset holder. And I use one as well, and I had sent Mr. McAvoy a photograph of the one I was using. It just goes to show you can help get your bench organized by doing stuff like that. Just taking a simple scrap of wood, if you don't want to buy a 3D, or if you've got a printer, print your own 3D holder, but just a simple scrap of wood and a spade bit, a couple of drill bits. You can drill yourself just to the right size for whichever glue you're utilizing, a holder to hold that so that it doesn't get knocked over on your bench. Also, listener Andrew Measley, he's on Instagram as Steel Rain Models. He sent in a short little 8-second video of a box diorama that he did using a ammo can,
Yeah,
a U.S. Army ammo can. And on one side was the little vignette in box diorama inside the can of the person in their wartime. I think it looked like it was the Middle East somewhere, and then flipped to the other side, and it was the same individual represented in their civilian life. So it was a neat little model, and I like box dioramas. You and I have been to the Chicago Figure Show, and one of the things that I love at the Chicago Figure Show is the box dioramas, the force perspective stuff, the stuff with interesting lighting and stuff like that. So that was really neat to see, and I really liked it, and I hope he continues to do stuff like that and sends more in.
That show ought to be on our occasional rotation.
Yes, it should. I was talking to Mr. Hustad at Indy, and he goes to that show fairly often, and I was telling him the story about how you and I went to the show together, and then came home because we each had a first date with what turned out to be our now wives. We had our first dates on the same day, so we were rushing back from the Chicago Figure Show to get there, to get back to Louisville and Lexington, respectively. So, yeah, he was encouraging us to go back up to the MMSI show. So we ought to do that.
Got anything else?
Nope, that's it for me. Well, this is the point in the podcast where I stop and ask you, if you would, when you're done listening, please rate the podcast on whatever app you're using to listen to it. Please give it a 5-star rating. It helps drive listeners and drive visibility. Also, if you are listening and you've got a modeling friend out there who isn't currently listening to Plastic Model Mojo, maybe they don't know what a podcast is, help them out. Show them how they can listen to us and point them in our direction. In fact, at Indianapolis, we met a listener who had done just that for a friend of his and got us an additional listener. So we appreciate that. Believe it or not, 2 years into this, and we are still growing and we're still gaining new listeners. And that's mainly because of you all. We appreciate it, and please keep it up.
Please check out all the other podcasts out there in the model sphere, and they're thick as honey out there, Dave. And,
oh my Lord. Turn around. You can't turn around without finding a new one.
And most of them are just as sweet in their own way. And you can check out all those at modelpodcast.com. It's a consortium website we've set up with the help of Stuart Clark at Scale Model Podcast to provide a single repository for all those other podcasts. So you don't have to search around for them. You can go to modelpodcast.com and there's links to all the model podcasts. Check them out. You can certainly fill up all your modeling time with great content. Hear what everybody's got to say on the hobby. In addition to that, please check out our blog and YouTube friends. We've already mentioned Stephen Lee. His blog is Sprue Pie with Frets, and he's got a good one coming up. So please check out Stephen Lee's blog. Chris Wallace, model airplane maker out of Canada. He's got a blog and a YouTube channel. Great content on the blog. Great tips and techniques on the YouTube channel. Chris is a great guy. We talk to him often. Please check out both his avenues there for his content. And Jeff Groves, Inch High Guy, all things 72nd scale blog, and bourbon delivery guy.
He is a Renaissance man, like any good Navy man is.
That's right. So please check out Jeff's blog if you're into 72nd scale. And finally, Jim Bates, a Scale Canadian TV. He just dropped one a couple of days ago at the time of this recording. And as Easter, actually.
Yep.
Check it out. Jim's a good guy. We loved having him on episode or so ago. That's it, Dave. That's all our friends right now. I'm sure we'll get more.
Well, finally, if you are listening to us and you are not a member of your national IPMS chapter, that's IPMS USA, IPMS Canada, IPMS Norway, IPMS Australia, wherever you happen to live, please consider joining your national organization. IPMS US or IPMS does a lot for the modeling community in helping to organize shows, in helping to regulate. So at least here in the United States, that shows don't step all over each other, which is a bigger task than it sounds, but the IPMS USA regional coordinators do a really good job of keeping the traffic jam from happening where two shows happen in the same region on the same weekend. They're worthy of your support. So please consider joining your national IPMS organization.
All right, Dave, well, let's take a little break here and have a word from our sponsor at Model Paint Solutions.
Plastic Model Mojo is now brought to you by Model Paint Solutions, your source for Harder Steenbeck airbrushes, David Union power tools, and laboratory-grade mixing, measuring, and storage tools for use with all your model paints, be they acrylic, enamels, or lacquers. Check them out at www.modelpaintsolutions.com.
Well, Dave, we're back, and it's Wagons Ho for Omaha once again.
You know me, man. I cannot wait for the Nationals.
Well, you don't have to wait long because at the time of this recording, Dave, it is 92 days away from the IPMS 2022 National Convention in Omaha, Nebraska. And helping us with tonight's segment, we have the contest chairman himself, Mr. Scott Hackney from Omaha, Nebraska, on the line with us to answer a few update questions. So, Scott, how you doing tonight?
We are doing good tonight.
All right. Well, glad to hear it. I'm sure you guys are in the thick of it at this point, because not only are you dealing with a contest or competitions or national convention, we're looking at a new software rollout as well. So you probably have your hands full.
Oh yes. Yeah, Wild Apricot is working out pretty well, but there were some growing pains going in there.
Well, it's nice for an experienced nationals host chapter to vet that out for everybody in the future.
Yeah, that is true.
We have done this. This is our third trip in 11 years. So yes, we know how to do this.
Well, let's get right into it. I know the room situation, at least for the convention hotels, is pretty much a done deal being booked. What about the tours that are lined up for the? Well,
the hotels are sold out, but that's not unusual. They sold out in 2.5 days in 2017 as well. So we're talking about almost 500 rooms, and they just go because, of course, people they like Omaha, they like our right size facility, and they want to come. So the hotels go fast, but the conference center is right off of I-80. So, I mean, you can see it from the highway. And, Omaha is not short of hotels. And there are 1,700 free parking places in front of the conference center. So just because the convention hotels are sold out, and I checked with them about 3 days ago, and they are still sold out. So we haven't had really any cancellations to speak of. There are plenty of rooms. I was just looking, right down the street, 2 exits up, and the DoubleTree down there has got rooms and good rates right now. So just because the hotels are sold out at the conference center does not mean there's not a lot of space left in Omaha, and that you can't come to the convention and not have to worry about parking and all those other things.
Well, that's a good point. That's a lot of on-site parking, by the way.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
the access from having been to the last 2 Omaha Nationals, the access to the facility is really, really great. It's not one of those things where you have to hike a half a mile to get to your car.
No, you just park right up front, come in the front doors, and you're there. And so it's really pretty easy. We call it a right size facility. It's about 50,000 square feet. Half of it is for vendors, half of it's for contests, and then we've got 3 or 4 good rooms for seminars, but it's all very compact. You're not taking long hikes to do anything.
Well, we got our room up close, so we're covered there.
Well, that's good. That's good. So you were asking about tours, and we've got basically 2 tours that we're running. The night at the museum, at the SAC Museum on Thursday night is basically sold out. We had 250 seats for that, and it's done. Now that doesn't mean that anybody can't go to the SAC Museum. It's about 20 minutes away from the hotel, so you're certainly welcome to come to the SAC Museum. But our space that SAC rented us to have dinner and then wander around the museum that night is up. Our other tour then is down to Lincoln to the Museum of American Speed, and that's a fabulous museum. The USA Today called that the greatest car museum in the country.
Oh, wow.
And so we're really trying to recommend that, and there's plenty of seats on the bus to go down to Lincoln for a private tour Friday morning. Going to leave early, get down there about 8:30, have 3.5 or more hours at the Speed Museum, and then bring the bus back. So if you're a car guy of any kind, you ought to think about going to the American Speed Museum. We're not holding any other tours. They just tours are not a big thing for IPMS anymore. In 2011 we took 2 buses to the zoo. In 2017 we took 2 Ubers. Once again, the Omaha Zoo is rated #1 in the world right now. So if you're bringing your family, you ought to go to the zoo. But we just didn't find the interest high enough, which is interesting. One of the things that we're finding right now, there's over 400 people on our pre-registration, and over 250 guests. So the number of people that are actually bringing guests is a lot higher than I expected. So it's a whole lot more of a family affair than it used to be.
One of the nice things about Omaha is, and it's not just your facility being right size, Omaha itself is pretty right size as far as getting from the convention hotel to either nice restaurants, the zoo, or other things to do and see in Omaha.
Sure. There's a lot of things to do, and we mentioned the zoo, and across from the zoo is the gardens, the Sac Museum, Boys Town. Our art museum is going to be closed for 2 years for renovation. But while you're there, the ball team will be here for the first time. So Friday night, just about a mile away from the conference center, the Storm Chasers are playing.
Oh, cool. I'd love to go to a couple of nationals. I've actually been to AAA games that were going on while the nationals were going on. Those are always fun to go and watch.
Yeah. Yep. And the Storm Chasers are literally, you can see the lights of the stadium from the hotel. So
Cool.
it's just right over the hill. Yeah, that's the Kansas City's farm team.
Gotcha.
Well, Scott, you mentioned the transportation to the Speed Museum for the morning tour there. It may be on the website and I didn't notice it, but is transportation provided for the night at the museum?
Yes. Well, we price the night at the museum 2 different ways. We price it with and without transportation.
Okay.
Because we don't think that you should have to ride the bus if you don't need to ride the bus, and you shouldn't have to pay for that.
Our tickets, by the way, Mike, we are riding the bus. So are the OTB guys.
Okay. Well, we'll have some Australians with us.
Yes. We'll try and keep them in line.
There you go. We're all about saving money for the members, so we're not putting everybody on the bus if we don't have to.
I guess the one of the big hot topics for the National Convention is the world's largest hobby shop. What's the vendor room shaping up to look like, or the 2 vendor rooms actually?
Well, we call it Vendor's Alley because you hit that one spot to get in, and then the vendors are on either side. And the East Room and the West Room. The East Room's a little bigger, but easy access to both of them. And they're looking really good. We're at about 250 tables, and we've got less than 16 tables. My wife tells me. My wife is the registrar, so she's got it all figured out. She's got the whole thing down, and lots of great vendors. The Edward is coming as of right now, as is Aries, as is Special Hobbies. So you've got a lot of those folks are coming. Tamiya will be there. We just got some sad news. Zucamira will not be there. The COVID restrictions in Japan have just made it really impossible for them to come, and they're really disappointed. But they're they're not going to be able to make it. But Kinetic will be there, Atlantis will be there, Revell will be there, MRC will be there. So all of the major manufacturers except Zucamera will be there.
That is one nice thing. Las Vegas was great last year, but of course they were handicapped by restrictions. So a lot of the foreign vendors that you're used to seeing at an IPMS National weren't able to make it. So it's really nice to hear that that we're going to get a number of those foreign vendors back in Omaha.
They are all planning to come. Now we. Obviously, things can change in our world right now, but the folks that are talking to Edward for me have talked to him just this week, and last week, and they're coming. So we've got them. Lots of the GT Resin and Mike West from Lone Star, and bassist by Bill, and just all the usual folks that you're expecting to see. Most of those folks are signed up as well, so yeah, it's a full vendors room. Cult TV Man will be with us for the sci-fi folks, and they're excited about coming down. So we've got a two or three different airbrushes. Certainly, both the Grex and the Iwata folks are there to handle your airbrushing needs. So they're always fun to work with. So it's a good combination of a lot of different organizations. So I think you'll be pleased with the vendors room.
How's the seminar slate stacking up?
The seminars are looking good. I've got 28 of them signed up right now, and folks that want to talk about modern jets and once again airbrush seminars, modeling water for ships and real space, painting and weathering armor, building that big Hasegawa triplane. That should be interesting. So we're having a open forum for the podcasters on Thursday evening.
Yeah, we appreciate
you guys all
that.
to get together with your fans, and do that. We're going to talk about building sailing ships. The e-board wants to have 2 or 3 different seminars. They want to have one about so you can meet the e-board members and talk to them about IPMS. They also want to talk about how you run a local club. Dave from Phoenix Modeling, from Phoenix Publications, will be here. If they took over for some of the English magazines that went defunct.
Yep.
And I got him. He's going to be doing a modeling in the UK and Telford for us.
Oh, that'll be great.
Yeah. I've got Darren Roberts is going to do a seminar on the mini faces of the 48th F-14. If you remember him from 2011, he had 30 monogram Tomcats on the table. So he's going to talk all about the different Tomcats and the highs and lows of that. And I was just talking to the guy who's going to talk about the 1949 Cleveland National Air Races and the crash that took place there that year. And he's got a lot of really nice color pictures for that.
Yeah, I love the seminars at the Nationals. I think a lot of people, they get so excited about the contest and about the vendors and even about the tours. I think sometimes in all of that shuffle, the seminars can get lost. But man, I'm telling you, some of my best experiences at nationals have been sitting in different seminars. So I'm looking forward to cramming as many of those in as I can.
Well, I'd add that at 28, you sound like you got just about at least one for about everybody there, if not more than one, that's going to interest them very, very deeply. So at 28 seems like
I think so.
It seems like a lot to me.
Well, I was working off of the list from some other ones, and the president, Dave Lockhart, had a list of folks that he used for seminars in Chattanooga that give me a head start. So that was a really good. One of the things that we're working on is trying to get the nationals so that everyone is not having to invent the convention over and over again.
Yep.
Having Dave had all of his materials from the seminars from Chattanooga really made our job easier. And of course, like I say, we've done this a time or two, so some of this stuff is really easy for us, but it's a lot of work, and figuring out how some of this works is difficult. I think I'm going to do a seminar on national decal sheets.
That'd be fantastic. People don't realize that that's one of the great benefits of the nationals. If you register, even if you're not entering a model, if you register, you get that convention package, that registrant package, and the decal sheets can be really, really great.
They can, and they can be not so great.
Well, yeah, that's happened before too.
And so we've been talking about that, and so we just sent our sheet off to the printers, and of course we've done several great sheets. In 2011, it was Mig Killers of Yankee Station.
Yep, I have that sheet.
That was the only national sheet ever reprinted.
Yep.
And then 17 was a Wild Weasel sheet from Vietnam.
Yep, going downtown.
That's where the fun is.
Yeah, and we were looking at an Arsenal of Democracy sheet, but we didn't come up with a great idea for that. So I'll and we're gonna show the world our sheet next week. But I'll break some news with you guys and tell you that our sheet this year is Korean War.
Oh, cool!
It's been a number of years since we got some Korean War decals. All those when the F-86s and the F-84s came out, we got lots of decals, and unless you're a hoarder, they're probably gone. So we're always looking for a something that we can do that serves the hobby, and we thought that Korean War would be one of those niches we could fill, and so we've got Korean War coming in both 72nd and quarter inch.
Well, the last thing we would like to touch on is where we can help you out the most, and we beat this drum every episode we can, is trophy sponsorships, because I know that helps you guys out a lot. So how's that shaping up, and what's left to do there?
There's some work left to do. We've been we've been hitting up, and Wild Apricot makes that easier to send out emails to the members. You guys probably got an email from me last week, and we get a push every time that happens. But we're about 60 trophy packages short. So we still need some folks to do trophy packages, and as you saw in the email there, we need some help in BKB is not being as serviced as well. Artillery, soft skins, ships. Those are the places where we could use some more trophy sponsors. The airplanes and the basic armor. Juniors go fast, and the special awards go quickly, but some of those other places are still out there, and we're looking to get so we need about 60 more packages to fill up.
We'll certainly be in the mix, and we'll keep encouraging folks as we go forward in future episodes leading up to the convention to sponsor a trophy package. So,
well, we appreciate that, and let me know what if you need me to give you any help again. That we're always available.
Well, Scott, we appreciate you joining us. Is there any last detail we haven't touched on that you'd like to mention before we let you go?
Come visit us in Omaha. I think we're going to have a good convention. Omaha is, like you say, in the middle of the country, so we're pretty easy to get to. The convention costs are not that high. There's plenty of hotel rooms, plenty of parking places, and there's a lot of folks that haven't been to a convention in a long time, and I know you'd like to come.
I can tell you from being there the last 2 times, Omaha's a great convention every single time. And man, if you want a good steak, there are plenty of places in Omaha to get a good steak.
That's the truth. There are plenty of good steak restaurants, and that'll be and we'll have a list of restaurants for you when you get here.
Sounds awesome. We look forward to it, Scott. So again, thanks for joining us tonight. And we look forward to meeting you face-to-face again in Omaha.
We'll see you in 92 days.
All right. We'll be here.
Well, it's finally good to get caught up with Scott, Dave, and he certainly seems excited, and I know I am, and I'm sure you are as well. So,
well, you can tell this is not his first rodeo. You talk to somebody who's the convention chairman who's doing it for the first time, and the level of nerves is palpable. I remember talking to Mike Moore before Chattanooga, and he was experiencing all of those worries that a first timer experiences. You can tell that Scott has done this before. He just sounds as calm can be.
Bob Lomasaro in Vegas was, I think it was probably he had like he had worked in the industry of booking concerts and tours and stuff. So
exactly,
he had a background dealing with a lot more probably narcissistic people. So Bob did a great job. He didn't seem too nervous, and but you're right. You can tell that the Omaha team's locked and loaded, and they know this is gonna work out. So
yep, absolutely.
Well, while we're at the show, Dave, we ran into a few people who are either old friends or are tied to this whole social media and podcast way of things happening these days. And first guy we ran into is Mr. Ian Bonner there, helping out the Roscoe Turner chapter. Let's see what he had to say. We got a friend of the posse here.
Yes, sir.
Well, it's only fair that if they have Jim Bates on their podcast, we get to steal one back. That's right.
Yeah, you get Ian Bonner with iPhone's Body. You got to poach some people sometimes.
That's right. We'll tell everybody out there what you got going on, Ian.
Wait a minute. I think we won that trade.
I think we did.
I want to put it down here now. We won that trade.
All right.
Well, he got me blushing. Y'all can't see it, but I'm blushing. But just out here at our Roscoe Turner Indianapolis IPMS show, rocking and rolling. We had a great turnout so far this year. I've got a couple of things entered. I'm helping run things. I'm the new guy here, but rock and roll. We got a ton of kits out. It's definitely been a great time.
Well, what do you got going on outside of this show?
Outside of this show, I've got, I just finished for the Plastic Posse group build. I got both of my Shermans done for Nationals.
Well, that's going to be impressive when all those are out there, I must say.
I'm super excited. At Vegas, you had all the M60s, all the patents out there. We're hoping we can exceed those numbers, but I got that done. I'm excited to now not be doing something for a group build. I'm excited to just build something for me.
I feel like that all the time.
All the time. But, TJ, who, I lovingly call the Tastemaking Elite, he's got me doing machining Krieger stuff now, so I'm rocking and rolling with that, and just kind of keeping on.
Well, tell us about iBones.
So yeah, if you follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Scale Modelers Critique Group or any of the other model groups, you'll see mostly armor. I'm a huge fan of dusty, dirty, rusty armor, so you get a lot of that. But so definitely check it out if you throw me a like.
All right. Well, I'll let you get back to your show duties. Ian,
Sounds
thanks
good.
for stopping by.
All right, guys.
Take it easy.
You too.
Dave, Ian's a good guy. I'm sure we'll see him at the National Convention,
I'm sure.
hanging out with the posse, and maybe some of the posse be hanging out at the Mojo Dojo at least one night.
Well, after Vegas, there's no reason to believe they won't be.
Okay. Well, that's true. But now, Dave, it is time for the Benchtop Halftime Report, brought to us by Tackett Z. Tackett Z, the must-have tool for the model makers. You can see all of Tackett Z's products at www.tacketz.com. And Ed and his wife and the family dog were at Indianapolis at the Roscoe Turner Show. And he gave us some acrylic airbrush cleaner we need to try out.
Yes, and I definitely want to try that out.
All right, Dave. Well, what's up on your bench, man?
My bench has not moved along as quickly as I would have liked from last time, just simply because life has intervened between producing the podcast and doing the club newsletter, and it's tax time. In fact, we're recording this the day after your tax returns needed to be in to the IRS. So I was spending time doing all of that. So I've made a little progress on the B-52. I have not made any more progress on the M30, but I hope to do that soon. And I hope to have both of these done for Omaha. It's very doable, although talking to Scott and realizing we're under 100 days to the Nationals is a little bit of a gut check. But I think it's doable. And I'll tell you, this Academy kit, B-52, is really fantastic. I have really, really enjoyed this kit. And it's my first 1/144 scale kit. So,
Well, how big is that thing? I mean,
it is about 12 inches long with a wingspan of probably, tip to tip, maybe 14 inches.
you know what this is going to do, right?
What?
This is going to give you the experience to start knocking out some of those 4-engine 72nd scale.
It's about the size of a 4-engine 72nd scale World War II aircraft. I will tell you, even though it's 144 scale, this is definitely going to be the largest model I have finished since I got back into modeling.
There you go. So that's a milestone, actually, whether the model's any good or not, Dave.
It is. It is a milestone. And I will tell you that while, again, 72nd scale is God's one true scale, and I do intend to build a 72nd scale B-52 at some point, I will readily admit that 1/144 scale is a really good scale for a B-52 model, just enough detail, but also a reasonable size where you can actually, when it's done, move it around without the assistance of another individual. So, I got to say, I'm really liking it. And now I'm starting to get both the M30 and the B-52 are getting close. And with the Mosquito already done, I'm starting to actually toy with the what's next, just kind of like you are. When we were driving up to Indy, Mike and I were talking about, modeling as we do, and talking about what's next for Mike. And I'll
imagine that.
I'll let him address that. But it's actually got me starting to think about, okay, what am I going to do next? What am I going to do in what order? So I'm starting to toy with those dreams, but I don't want to want to do it too much because that'll take my eye off the ball. So how about your bench?
My bench has been rather stagnant, unfortunately. We've all been served a slice of life pie here.
Yes.
Last week or so. And I've got one graduating high school this year, and all the pomp and circumstance around that.
Yep. Got one graduating high school and one graduating grade school, man. It's one of those years.
So I haven't gotten much done at all. Hopefully I'll rectify that this weekend. I think I talked about it last time. I'm ready to start gluing all the bits and bobs onto the Zis 2 base and blending that in. I hope I'm not repeating myself there, but I suspect I am. After that, I just got to start assembling the gun again and putting the final weathering on the lower sections. And then
just basically to blend it into the base, right?
Yep. Blend it into the base. And, my goals definitely have that one done by nationals. I mean, there's nothing holding me up now. I mean,
you'll get that done well before nationals.
The Mooseroot Cup's all done and dusted. That's all over with. So that's not over my head anymore. And I think, I don't know. It's going to be get back to the E16 Paul and start painting on that guy.
But that means you've got something left or that means you have a hole that you need to fill construction wise. So,
yep, we'll see about that. And it's probably going to be the Katusha, but I showed you this weekend. I bought a vlog camera.
Yeah.
And this KV 85 project, I've kind of thought about it along those lines. Maybe the Katusha too. I don't know. It's not too late. I've done all that front end work with the 3D printing and stuff, but I don't know. We're not making any promises on the video, but we're certainly going to start exploring it.
Yep, absolutely.
Other than that, Dave, I've not done much else. That's it.
Well, hopefully the next 2 weeks, you and I are both going to get a lot of modeling done. We'll update the Facebook page regularly, so pay attention to that. Take a look. And hopefully you and I will both have a lot more to report come next episode.
That's right.
Well, Mike, if you haven't been building as much, have you been buying much?
We went to a show, Dave. you kidding me, man?
Did you break your wallet?
Had I paid retail for everything, it would have been a serious wallet smackdown.
Well, that's why we go to shows. That's why we're excited about shows. Because when you go to a show, you find stuff, you find deals.
Sometimes you find a deal.
That's what I was going to say. Did you find any deals at Indy?
I did. The first thing I bought David Doyle's book on the M3 Lee Grant, because he was running a really steep discount for the show. I've been eyeing that book on eBay every once in a while, or on his website will have a bashed corner,
right?
Sell at a discount, but it's a big book. It's about an inch thick, and it was like $50. It was pretty good price.
Yes, yep. And his stuff is fantastic. I mean, I've perused his Sherman book, and I had no clue that there were that many variations in the Sherman.
One of my frustrations with the shows is we never get as much done there with regard to the podcast as we hope to. And it'd been nice to get David on.
Yeah.
Well,
maybe I'm sure he'll be at the Nationals. Maybe we'll make a point of trying to do that.
We could try, but that's not all I bought. I'll tell you that.
What else did you buy?
There was a dealer there just in front of us and to the left a little bit that he must have not wanted to take anything home. I bought a mini art full interior SU 122. It's the mid production version. I bought that kit for $25.
Ooh, nice deal.
Yeah, that's a deal.
Is that thing even made anymore? Is that currently in production?
Russian invasion aside, it should be.
Yeah.
With current situation, probably not. And hopefully it'll come back. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it's in production.
It's still in their catalog.
It's still in their catalog, and there's plenty of them out there, just not for $25.
Well, I've got to admit, I like the big brutalist Soviet assault guns.
I do too. I mean, I was not keen on the full interiors for all those assault guns and tank destroyers they've come out with, but for $25, I can just leave the parts out.
Absolutely, you can. Absolutely.
Well, I picked up 3 kits from that same vendor from MSD, or Model Scale Designs. Now, this company's out of Russia, so I guess I've got Russian kits and Ukrainian kits. I picked up both versions of their 45 millimeter anti-tank gun, the Russian gun. Kind of looks like the Pak 36, you know?
Yep. Very similar to the Pak 36.
Well, it's because they were co-developed in the 30s in Russia before the armistice, before they just said to hell with the Versailles Treaty.
Right.
You know, these are not the old ICM versions, ICM kits. These are new, and they're better than the ICM kits, but they're still not, you know, the fidelity of detail and the finesse of the moldings is still kind of along that vein of kits from that part of the world, smaller manufacturers.
Yeah. I
got the long barrel 45 millimeter, the Model 42, and I got the original, the short barrel one as well. And I got a set that is the ammo boxes and the ammunition. And I think that's all I bought. Other than the decal set you brought me from Barracuda Cows.
Yes. P47s.
Yep, my Razorbacks.
Yep.
What about you? What have you bought, Dave?
Well, non-show related, I've purchased a Zvezda Mi-28N Russian attack helicopter. I've got to admit that's probably due to some of the videos that have been coming out of Ukraine lately. Piqued my interest, and I've got a natural interest in post-World War II Soviet/Russian stuff anyway, so I needed to add that to my collection. And then I went to the show too. I was selling some kits. I sold a few things. I recycled the money. From the same Russian manufacturer, I bought the long barrel 45 Russian gun. I bought the 76 millimeter infantry gun, the Russian infantry gun. And then I bought ammunition 76 millimeter ammunition crates for the infantry gun. So at some point, if I get this M30 done and off the plate, I might fiddle with another Russian artillery piece, and those are anti-tank guns. So that might well figure into it. We'll see.
Was the price still $5 a piece when you went over there?
$5 a piece. While I was there, the guy directly across from our table had lots and lots of books that he was blowing out. As longtime listeners know, my wife teases me that I'm not a modeler. I'm a librarian who occasionally buys models. So whenever I see books on sale, particularly for good price, I can't pass it up. I got the Osprey Polish Aces of World War II. I got the publication, Sam Publications puts out a bunch of special publications, and this one was on the Israeli Air Force between 67 and 72. And then they were selling the books 3 for $20. Those two are the two that I was interested in. And so I was looking through, and I grabbed, not particularly for myself, but to send on to Jim Bates, the On Target profile book on the Supermarine Seafire Mark 1 to Mark 47. And picked that up just to pass on to Jim, because Jim is all about all things Spitfire and Seafire. So I've confirmed that he doesn't have it, so it'll be a nice little addition to his collection. In addition, I found some old Cross and Cockade magazines that were being blown out for $1 a piece from they were in 1980s vintage. So I picked those up for Skippy. Going to give them to him when I see those. So all in all, a successful trip. I managed to spend money. I managed to sell some kits, although I couldn't hold a candle to your son hawking the overflow from your collection. He was doing a good business. He's quite the little salesman. Yep, he did a great. Hey, listen, he was a great table monkey, man. I'm telling you what, he really helped us out. I wouldn't mind having him along anytime. I will say I really enjoyed on the way back from Indy. He's on eBay already planning what his next possible coin purchase might be. So that was kind of entertaining to see somebody else enthused about their hobby.
While we're talking about this great time we had at the show, let's check out another segment. We got a couple. We got an old regional friend from Region 4, and then we got a new friend who drove a long way, who was also a past guest of ours. So first up is Mr. Ben Pluth from Columbus, Ohio, who's a perennial Region 4 show attendee. We see him all the time, and at Nationals as well. So he's like our shadow, man. Well, let's see what Ben had to say.
All right.
Well, Dave, we got a regional regular here with us.
Yes, Mr. Ben Pluth from Columbus. Are you officially in Columbus, or?
I'm just outside of Columbus in Dublin. So
okay.
Kind of a well-to-do area.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, Ben, I've known Ben for years through my friend that I've mentioned on the podcast, Scott Skippy King. Ben and Skippy have been friends for a long, long time.
Yep.
Ben builds some really, really nice 48 scale aircraft, and Ben does not live by my motto that life's too short to build crappy kits, because Ben builds some of the worst kits I think I've ever seen. The Hobbycraft.
The JU-87A. Yeah.
Yes, the Hobbycraft. Let's see, what was the one, the pencil with the bow?
Oh, that was the Dornier 17EF.
Yes.
Yeah, that Hobbycraft kit, or
yes.
you know what the other moniker of that kit name is. So, they also coined it the banana bomber, because if you ever get that kit, you open it up and you see that the tail is seriously, it's a banana.
Yes. So what causes you to buy and build kits that are, by most people's reckonings, objectively terrible?
So when I look at some of the subjects, it really depends on, it's like, if I don't see anything out there that is made by another kit manufacturer, I'll be like, okay, I'll go ahead and do it. But sometimes I find, like, with the project that I've or a kit that I bought early on in the hobby, I was like, okay, this thing is sitting on my shelf laughing at me. And it's like, I got hacksaws, I got files, and I got a hammer. So it's like, bring it on.
Okay, but have you ever just been into one of these projects, as we'll call them, and just said, oh, hell, life is too short?
Well, I think the most recent one that's like I was trying for this past weekend to finish up, that just ended up going completely sideways on me, was a Hobbycraft T33, and I just seriously bombed the natural metal finish on it. It just ended up horrible, and I think it's more due to the fact that the undercoat for the black, I was told go ahead and use this, and then it'll be okay to shoot the AK gloss primer black on top of that, and then that stuff just never dried. And the next 3 days later, I start handling the kit, and I'm like, oh man, I just fingered this kit up. Okay. And it's like, oh.
Okay, would you just stop buying Hobbycraft kits? I mean, seriously, there are other. Have you heard of this company called Tamiya?
Yes,
it's a really neat, and in 48 scale, they make a lot. There's a Lightning that they released 2 years ago. You really need to take a look at.
Oh, I got me more than a few of those. So, one of the things with the Tamiyas and whatnot is that I feel kind of diminished when I finish something that is kind of cookie cutter like a Tamiya, because of the fact that it's like I get a little bit more satisfaction out of the fact that when you actually fulfill building something that's more difficult, that it's like you have a little bit more appreciation for that model.
That's the Mike philosophy.
So yeah, it just kind of carries through, and that's why I like try these random subjects. And it's like, okay, it's like there's some people out there that scratch build, and that was one of the things that early on in my day when I started going to model shows and whatnot and seeing scratch building, I'm like, okay, it's like I can maybe aspire to do some of this stuff, but it's like I need to first cut my teeth on trying to do really difficult subjects, or at least things that will really try my patience. So that's kind of the mindset that brought me to start building those really difficult kits.
So did you bring anything?
So not today. I had a few things finished, but I just wasn't really feeling bringing something out for competition. I was kind of wanting more of a day off kind of day to enjoy shopping and also taking in some of the other stuff. The show today is really, really amazing in the fact that the diversity of the models on the table is just, there's stuff there that I haven't seen before, and also there's some amazing stuff. The 72nd scale tanks and armor, that just blows my mind as a great builder that's doing that stuff.
Yes, absolutely.
So,
Well, wrap it up. You're here on the payroll for somebody else today, aren't you? Tell us what you're doing today and who for.
well,
Because I want to promote the show, and I know they're going to be promoting the show, so it's all good.
I'm with with the opposing group called the Modeling Miscreants. And,
We're not opposing. But
Yeah.
well, it's like I'm here. It's like taking some photos for them, and
cool.
I was over at Pittsburgh just a week or two ago and taking photos there, and everybody was very receptive of my photo work. So thought, it's like for those people that are either in the area or wanted to. And with Model Miscreants, it's like on their Facebook page, and know Jeff Hearn personally, and one of the first days that I met Jeff was here at an indie show a number of years ago, and Jeff is a really good guy, and came up to me and noticed that the 48 scale TA 152 that I put on the table and a couple other Luftwaffe subjects, he was just amazed by the paint work that I did. So I became pretty good friends with Jeff, and he told me about the Model Miscreants page coming up, and I said, okay, I'll jump on there and join. And never did I realize he was going to start a podcast and that he runs a paint company and all this other stuff that he's getting into now. And I was like, okay, wow, it's like you got some things going on. So I decided I'll just tag along, see what's going on, and really got to really involved with their almost daily now. It's like Zoom builds that they have on Facebook. And,
Okay.
It's not for the faint of heart. If this is more of a R-rated affair on the Model Miscreants. So, but they're a bunch of good guys, a lot of armor modelers. So having an aircraft guy fit into there is a little bit of a derivation, to say the least.
Well, when it's all done, you got the photo wrapped up for them. Send us the link to where it's posted for them, and because we want to promote the show, and we can't take all the pictures.
Right on.
We'll try to link all the other photo opportunities we got out there. So, Ben, good to see you again.
All
I'm
right.
sure we'll see you again around the region, man. We always do.
All right,
Yep.
good to see you,
All right,
Mike.
take
Good to
care.
see you.
Well, Ben, I hope you're listening. I'm pretty sure you are. Good to see you again, and I'm sure we'll cross paths again. Might be nationals, might be before that. I'm not sure what the show schedule is going to look like, but keep building those old kits.
Not only does he build old kits, but he builds old kits really, really well.
He does.
I
He builds new crappy kits pretty well too.
Pretty well, yes, that too.
Our next segment is, I'm sure, dear to your heart because
Absolutely.
you got to meet your hero face to face.
Not only did I get to meet my hero face to face, I got to spend some quality time talking modeling with Steve Hustad, and better than that, he brought down from Minneapolis a bunch of the models that he's completed lately, and I am here to tell you they're impressive in photographs, but when you see them in person, they are just some amazing models. And I really enjoyed getting the opportunity to actually see them in person, because, instead of a photograph, you can move around, you can see it from different angles. And the longer you stare at his models, the more things you see and the more impressive they get.
Well, Dave, we finally get to make a face-to-face with one of our recent guests.
Yes, absolutely. And this has been fantastic. So, Steve, how are you doing?
We're doing good. Drove down yesterday with Mark Copeland and had a pretty uneventful trip and left snow in Minneapolis and arrived here to cold and wind this morning, but it's been a lot of fun.
So from Minneapolis is about, 9 hours?
About 9 hours, yeah.
Okay, well, that's not too awful a drive.
That's a big haul for an Invitational. You came down yesterday, right? You just said?
Yep, came down last night, or yesterday afternoon, and got in and came over early, ate at the hotel, and
so I can't believe you wouldn't have come 9 hours and not entered something. So what did you bring?
I brought 6 things. I brought a 72nd scale Friedrichshafen FF60 triplane, scratch built, and a small Panther tank diorama with 2 guys on it trying to get it restarted in the snow, and aircraft diorama, a blown up Ju-88, and a Vacuform Hansa Brandenburg C1, and ICM Dornair DO-17Z, and the Sonia, the Ki-51 Sonia, but it's the old Hasegawa Manaya kit.
The Mania, not the nuclear product.
Well, I built the 2 side by side, so I entered that one a couple weeks ago, and so I brought that one, the other one here, and I don't know what the hell.
So what made you decide that scratch building a 72nd scale World War I aircraft was a good idea?
Well, I fell down and I hit my head really hard.
That'd do it.
Yeah. And after I awoke, I thought, well, that'd be a great idea. So I found photos of it, and it's a plane that's always fascinated me. But it's they've only built one of them. They finished it right after the end of World War I, and flew. The Allied armistice gave them permission to fly it, just to test it. I don't know why, but it's a big 4-engine triplane seaplane. They only built one, and flew it on Lake Constance near the Friedrichshafen facility. And there's only 9 photographs of the thing that exist.
Oh wow! I got a tank project that's like that.
Yeah. So I got all 9 photos, and only 1 set of drawings that I found in a Jack Harris book on Friedrichshafen aircraft, and that was the plan set was just a preliminary set, really crude, with just kind of some overall dimensions. So I had some overall dimensions like the wing gaps, the span, the length, and then the photos. So then I drew up my own set of plans. So I had something to work off of.
This is so Mike.
So I drew up my own.
That's the way you got to
set of-
do it sometimes.
Yeah, so I drew them up on Mylar, spent most of the time doing the plans, and then just tackle it little by little, do the engine nacelles, and I used small stuff resin engines that are beautiful from Israel, and some Aero Club white metal props that I reshaped before they matched the photos in the book, but the plan and the photos didn't match either. There's a lot of details that were very different, so had to go and compare and contrast and compare and contrast and compare to the photos, and I went back and revised the plans like 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 times, and then tried to use Harry Woodman's technique for getting the airfoil on the wings. So I got some .06 or .6 evergreen plastic, cut out that, and tried his technique, which is you build a jig and then you clamp it down over this form, and you put it in the oven, and then you take it out, you put it in hot water, take it out and plunge it into cold water. But every time I did that, I'd get this extreme dihedral. So I finally clamped it down, put it in the oven at a low level, and then I took it out and just let it air dry, and that gave me the flat dihedral. So it was a little bit by bit and tackle it sub-assembly by sub-assembly, and so it was a lot of fun doing it, but it's finally done. And
Well,
Go ahead, Dave.
I'm glad you brought down one of your aircraft dioramas because, again, as we said during our previous conversation, your ability to pull off 70-second scale dioramas and not have them look toy-like is something that, A, I find amazing, and B, Mike and I, later in the year, we want to get you back for a full segment to discuss the ins and outs of that, the figures that you use, and the techniques you use, because it truly is something that I don't see many other people being able to accomplish those particular set of skills.
Yeah, the hard part is the damn figures. You just because, like I mentioned before, you can't find 70-second scale figures in hard injected plastic. They're all that soft plastic, which is impossible to clean up and impossible to modify. But Prizer makes really good figures, but they're impossible to find them now. They don't import them anywhere. So, but I use the Prizer heads and the torsos and the arms, and when I can find them on eBay, I'll buy them. But otherwise, nobody carries them.
That's right. Well, we look forward to talking about those techniques in depth when we have you back on a little later in the year.
Yeah.
Well, good luck with your contest entries. I'm sure you'll do just fine.
Well, thanks. Fun seeing you guys in person. And the first picture I took was of your Gundam.
The Gundam's here from the Mooseru Cup. So
beautiful job.
We'll see what happens. Well, thank you. Thanks, Steve.
Thanks.
Have a safe trip back to
Good see
Minnesota.
you guys.
All right.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Dave, I agree. The stuff he brought was really impressive. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Best of Show was a debate over 2 of his entries.
That would not surprise me at all. I mean,
I know one was the tri-float plane.
Yes.
Which I think won Best Aircraft.
Oh, again, it just...
Scratch built.
Right. You heard him talking about it during the segment. Scratch built, triplane, 70-second scale.
Float plane.
Float plane.
It's got 3 whammies there, Dave.
Exactly. and lozenge camouflage too.
I think you get past the first 3 there, and the lozenge is a piece of cake.
Yeah. Truly, it was probably the easiest thing he did.
Well, we're going to have him back to talk about selecting and posing 70-second scale figures, hopefully in the coming year, here a little later in the year, because we're pretty scheduled out through early summer. But Steve, good to see you again, man. Well, good to see you for the first time, and nice to talk to you again.
I can't wait to talk with him about 70-second scale figures because, again, if you looked at both the wrecked JU-88 and the little Panther that he had done, 70-second scale. 70-second scale figures are hard to make look good, and he makes them look good. And I really would love to, we got to talk about that a little while we were standing at the table talking, but I think the listeners would really enjoy an in-depth discussion about how he does what he does.
So Steve, get your notes together and we'll talk a little later in the year.
Absolutely. And we'll see you at the Nationals for sure.
That's right.
Mike, are you seeing the bottom of the glass? Have you gotten to the end of your modeling fluid?
Yeah, for the first pour, I got to the bottom of it.
What did you think of it?
As much as I hate to give some props to a bourbon not made in the state of Kentucky, this ain't bad.
Really?
And it really reminds me of my Bullet, man.
Really?
Yeah,
that's impressive.
And because it's 100 proof, it's a little hot and sweet on the front end, not terrible. And it's I kind of think Bullet is too, but it's a little spicy. I think it's good. I'd buy this. I mean, I would buy it. So
well, that's
Jeff,
cool.
I don't have to get it free from Jeff.
Good job, Jeff. Well, I was wondering, being 100 proof, if it was going to be a little bit hotter, and whether, sometimes you get bourbons that are hot that really, that front note can just kind of blind your taste buds to everything. But sounds like Jeff made a nice selection.
Well, the front ends, it's not overwhelming.
Good.
From a heat standpoint, you get the flavor there. It's a good sipper, man. I'd do it again.
Right? That's fantastic.
Well, give us the skinny on the Three Floyds beer there, man.
They've hit it out of the park yet again. It's a Pilsner. It's 5.6% alcohol. I can see this being my summer yard cutting beer because, again, you could drink a couple of these while you're cutting the yard and not worry that they're going to hit you so hard that you cut your foot off. It's a very smooth, very drinkable. These guys know what they're doing. I got to say, I am major league impressed. So when you tie into yours, I'm 100% convinced you're going to enjoy it.
Well, I've had it, and I do enjoy it. It's a good one. It's unique in their lineup because it's not a hoppy,
Right.
IPA or wheat or whatever, right?
Yep. Yeah, it's almost a more traditional American beer, but it's a great take on one.
Yeah, it's good. I like it. So glad you got some.
Yes, I am too. I'm glad I had some. We're here toward the end of the episode. You got any shout outs?
I do. I've got several, and we may overlap a little bit.
I'm sure we will.
First up, I want to shout out to Mojovian Secret Agent 001, Radski, Michael Radski. Hope I got that right. It's a Hungarian, I believe. It's a Hungarian name. We came back with 4 dozen Jamaican meat patties from Indy's own Patties of Jamaica because they're not open on the weekends, so we can't swing by after the show and get them ourselves. Really appreciate that. And at the bottom of that cooler was 2 6-packs of Three Floyds beer, Dave.
Yeah, that was above and beyond, man. I am telling you what. And my youngest daughter has already eaten 3 of those Jamaican meat patties. She loves those. So
I told you, man.
They're good. They are. There is no question. They're really good kind of as a late night snack too. You just pop them in the air fryer. Oh, he went above and beyond this time. We cannot tell you how much we appreciate that.
What do you got? What's your first shout out, Dave?
Well, my first shout out is a general shout out to all the listeners who were at Indy and stopped by the table. I particularly appreciate the guys who sat down with us for interviews to help make this episode what it is. It was particularly gratifying to talk with Steve in person at length and to see his models. But everybody who stopped by, it was fantastic it's not like meeting new people. It's like reconnecting with old friends. And my one regret at Indy is time flew by because, you're bouncing from one person stopping by to the next, and it becomes a blur just because you have so many great conversations with so many great people. They reference something they heard in a particular episode that sparked an interest in them or they had a comment on. I mean, literally, I could have cracked open a beer, sat down in a chair, and just spent all day doing nothing but talking with all the folks who stopped by.
That's almost what you did, Dave.
Well, yes, okay, it's true. I didn't get into the model room as much as I wanted to. I didn't hit the vendors as hard as maybe I would have liked to, because you're right, I did. I spent and I don't regret it, because that having the listener stop by makes going to a show, which is already one of the great parts of being in this hobby, so much better. So I'm just thrilled crapless.
It's interesting because, we're kind of trying to find our way here about how to do this stuff on location. Right. And
yeah,
it's at an invitational. It's kind of tough. I said something earlier, I think, about this, because once the judging starts and they close the model room, that's like midday typically, right? Or just after lunch.
Yeah. 12:30.
And you barely got your seat warm, right? At the table.
Yep.
And now half the people you wanted to talk to are sequestered in the model room. So
right, if they're judging or they run out to get lunch or
we got to rethink that a little bit. But to add to what you say, about a dozen of those folks who stopped by the table signed the registry, but many more, probably twice as many, stopped by to say something.
Oh yeah,
we were so into the conversation, we didn't ask them to sign the registry.
Yeah,
big fun. That's the part of this that we didn't really anticipate.
Not at all. Did not see this coming in any way, shape, or form.
And it's great, and we love it. So keep it up, folks. If you see us at the show, come by and talk to us. We'll have a good conversation.
Yes.
In addition to all those listeners who we saw at the show, and some of those listeners we saw at the show, we'd like to thank all those who have been so kind as to support the show. And since last episode, that is Dave Paisley, John McAvoy, John Pisano, Scott Stakowiak, and Robert Hallinger. They've all made the choice to support the show with their wallet, and we really appreciate that. We say it every time, Dave. It's humbling. I don't know. I don't know what to say. Thank you.
I know it is.
It's humbling to put out something like this and have people vote with their wallet.
Yes,
it really is. So we appreciate it. We're thankful for everything you guys have contributed to Plastic Model Mojo. If anyone out there listening would like to follow in their footsteps, you can do so at Patreon, www.patreon.com/plasticmodelmojo. There you can contribute any amount you like from $1 on up, and Patreon will manage that month to month for you. If you want to make a one-time contribution or manage your own recurring contribution, you can do so at PayPal. And the best way to do that is going through our website, www.plasticmodelmojo.com. There's a heart icon in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. You can click that icon and it takes you right to our PayPal Me page, and you can contribute whatever you like. We appreciate it. Either a one-time contribution or you can manage your own recurring contribution there. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. If we're at a show, please come talk to us. We're going to see a bunch of you at the Nationals Convention.
Absolutely.
Looking forward to it. That's what it's all about, man, the community. Yeah. And it's a lot of fun. Thank you.
Finally, I'd like to shout out the guys at Roscoe Turner, IPMS Indy. They put on a great show. This is their second year at their new venue. Last year, they took a real leap of faith in the middle of the pandemic to hold a show, and it turned out to be fantastic. And this year, I was interested to see what it would look like a year out from the pandemic. It was a fantastic show. Tons of models, tons of vendors. The vendor room was full. There were deals to be had, as you could tell from our Broke Your Wallet segment. And putting on a contest takes effort. You got to, in the midst of everything, you've got to be thankful for the guys who took the time and the effort to secure the venue, to make sure that they had workers on the day of the show to do all of the things that needed to be done. So, and they were very accommodating to us to get us in a location that made recording easier for us. We appreciate that. And I can tell you, we will be back to Roscoe Turner again next year.
Well, they did. They gave us a lot of choices where we wanted to be, and we ended up choosing the vendor room. They were ready to put us up in a nice, quieter corner with a black curtain behind us and everything. We appreciate the thought, but we kind of like the vendor room. And
it's where the action is.
And we appreciate you putting us there. We tried to have a warm-up interview with the show. We had some technical difficulty with that. Not sure what happened there, but maybe next time we'll get that right. And there'll be a next time, because it's a great show.
It is. It is, absolutely. It's a non-miss for me every year.
The Roscoe Turner, thank you for another outstanding day.
Absolutely. Well, Mike, we've gotten to the end of a really long episode. I had a great time. There's nothing else to say, but it was fantastic, and I'm looking forward to shows throughout the year.
As we always say, Dave, so many kits,
so little time. I'll see you soon, Mike.
We'll see you soon, man, and I'm sure we'll be road tripping another show.